Right, so there's no way to keep this short, but I'm gonna just dive right in because I need to put this up in some way, shape, or form. It's been too many years, but so I tell everybody that anything you look up about gang stalking is pretty much 95% accurate. Aside from anything that's like clearly, mental issues. But I will say that you're going to have to lower your threshold on a lot of things. You're going to have to open your mind and lower your threshold for some stuff. So, because there's things that sound like batshit crazy, but if you have an understanding of how the human anatomy works and how there's a lot of things that are fairly universal, and then that's kind of where the universe is one, everything's universal. Sacred geometry dives into how patterns and things, that's why we can deduce that things done on a small scale up, and they stay related because of that relationship that is present and evident when observing sacred geometry. So just to describe, like the gist of it, right? So there's definitely going to be some things, some stories, some details where initially it's going to sound crazy, but you kind of have to dive into it all the way and then come back out and then formulate the opinion that it was, just some batshit crazy story. There's way too much of it is not coincidence, and it pretty much exists and makes all of its money based on the fact that it gets chalked up as coincidence by anybody who you try to involve after the fact, right? So that's why someone like me is always asking, I'm always asking for phone calls. I'm always asking for people to hang out. I always want someone to go and do random, mundane, ridiculous tasks with me, right? So the reason that is because if somebody's there with you, then you can at least start building the case. They may think it's crazy at first, but if it keeps happening when you take them along with you, it should be clear and evident to that person even, that this is well beyond the point of coincidence. So it should be past the point of that even being a legitimate argument, as far as anything's considered when talking about dealing with issues regarding gang stalking or anything along those lines. So I have to say all that because even I can't say when it all started for myself, even though I'm I'm not a high profile on the social level, but I am high profile in the targeting world. So there's you essentially have two profiles, and one directly controls the social one. So you have a social profile that everybody knows and sees, and then you have this identical clone profile, but this is the one where they control everything, right? And they know about it, and they have all the records for it. Because anything done digitally in the digital world, if it involves communication to another device, I don't know if it includes all wired communications. I would think it even includes wired communications. That the wired communications depends though. But if Ethernet wired, that's still in there. So there's so much wired communication. Like even CCTV, I think they can still that might still make packets, or they're accessible. Yeah, I don't know if CCTV makes packets that go into the digital world, but I think someone might still be able to access your CCTV by going in after the fact. So you need a special amount of security for that. But anyways, so you have this other profile that nobody sees, and then that's your targeting profile. That's how much targeting you get. The profile is, I'm saying, like, as far as low and high profile. High profile in the social world would be like a millionaire, and then high profile in the targeting world would be someone like me who just does not get left alone for an hour. Every hour there's some bullshit that I'm having to deal with that is directly pertaining to what I'm doing. So, just to cover that, because, like, things got really bad for me maybe like 10 years. In the last 10 years it got real bad, but then after doing all my homework and research, I can think back to events that should not have happened, that are just way well beyond coincidence, and those events go all the way back into elementary school. So having said that, there are people, like I was saying, 95% of it's true, so just about everything you read is true to a certain point. It's just now you need to figure out where it's true, how it's true, and, well, yeah, so like I said, to what extent is it true? You almost need to figure that out. That's almost divulged over time. So I'll say that I can come up with events that are very peculiar, beyond coincidence, should not have happened, don't happen to people, but yet happen to me. All the way back into 4th grade, I want to say, maybe, like, that's as, there are weird things that happen to you before 4th grade, that are, like, beyond coincidence and stuff, but nothing I don't think I had a grasp on the way things worked yet in order to be able to tell you a story about something where something should or shouldn't have happened, But even as early as 4th grade, I can tell you an event where something happened to me, and it's like, you know what? I already knew I couldn't ask for help, right? Like, even as a 4th grader, I knew that there's only certain people. I had to go to people that I knew cared for me over anybody else. Yeah. So, yeah, even in 4th grade, I knew that I was in that situation already. That I not only was I in a situation, but that I maybe needed help, and that there's only going to be certain people I can talk to. It's not going to be just anybody. Like, now I'd found myself in an entirely new realm of existence in 4th grade. So I can think of something that goes all the way back, and then not a lot of things happen, definitely not on an hourly basis, but yeah, so in the last 10 years, it became hourly. But leading up to the last 10 years, there's, like, spotty events throughout my life that thinking back to them today, I would chalk up as targeting. But, having known about targeting in the last 10 years, I have a whole slew of events I could cover that I know for a fact are targeting, especially at this point, having it been 10 years. In the beginning, I knew it was targeting. I would have told you it was targeting, but I was so new to the fact that targeting